read.
Oh, please. John Wick, Keanu Reeves.
Ooh.
Which none of these other ones felt the need to point that out.
No, this one did.
Okay.
Yeah.
Uncovers a path to defeating the High Table, but before he can earn his freedom, Wick must face off against a new enemy with powerful alliances across the globe and forces that turn old friends into foes.
That's rough. Yeah, so this one I saw in theaters. I reviewed on our wrap-up. And I was going to be lazy and be like, hey, let's just play that fucking clip here. But then I forgot you weren't on that one.
You could have just inserted me in.
It's from a different wrap-up.
Yeah, you just pause everybody else on screen. Like, why are they so still every time Gil speaks?
This is the second one I saw in theaters. For some reason, I'm only seeing the even number John Wicks in theaters. I don't know why. I had fun with it, but this one is stupid as hell. It's literally, okay, at least it's another revenge thing.
True.
He's like, well, I have to kill all the members of the High Table so they stop sending assassins after me. And it's like, well, they just replaced those members. Like,
I'm just going to kill them too.
and I'm going to kill them too. It's like, John, you got to have a better plan here, buddy. I think it opens up with him killing the new elder.
It is weird that they felt the need to say there was a different elder in the last movie.
Yeah.
And now since then we've replaced him. I don't know if there was something behind the scenes and like we have to address this.
I guess they just didn't want to recast the guy. And they're
Yeah.
like, well, there's just a new elder now.
But not for long.
What is the elder?
He sits above the High Table.
Does he give them orders?
He just sits. He sits there. And if people are dehydrated, he picks them up.
But like, what does he do?
The High Table's like elder. I don't know anything about that.
Yeah, wait, just what does he do? Like
Yeah.
he just hangs out in the tent in the desert. He's not well armored. Anyone can come and kill him.
That's like asking, what does Winston do? Someone asks at one point.
Winston
like,
at least manages the hotel.
That's true. Like, is the manager in?
Yeah.
He's always in.
Yeah.
'Cause he's always there.
Yeah. I mean, it's just I don't understand the hierarchy here of the High Table and the answer to this elder who doesn't really do much, I assume. I
Yeah,
guess
I'm sure as they expand the Wickverse, you will get answers to all of these questions.
Okay. So yeah, John kills him.
Yep.
Probably not a good idea. People tell him that's probably not a good idea. So now the High Table really wants him to die. He's hiding out in Japan.
Right. The Osaka Continental.
Yes. With what's his face? God damn, why am I blanking on his name? Hiroyuki Sanada. Whoever
Oh,
loves.
that's right. Yeah.
Yes.
The guy from Shogun.
Yes. Scorpion from that terrible Mortal Kombat movie. He's the head of that Continental. Everyone like has a history with John. They all respect him. But yeah, you know, business can't be conducted, I guess, unless the High Table is like, no, go in there and kill that fucker.
Once you deconsecrate it,
Yes.
then you can do anything there.
Which is going to happen. I like that his daughter is not thrilled about it.
Yeah,
Who's like a pop star. I said she was an Asian pop star. Apparently she's British. My bad. But yeah, that's a spinoff waiting to happen.
They announced it already, I think. Or they announced that Kane is getting a spinoff.
Yes, there's a new guy, Kane, who's basically Halle Berry's character.
Right.
They also have a kid who's being held, like, he knows where his kid is. He apparently got too close to them. So he's being hired by the High Table to go after John with the rest of them. That whole Japan fight scene is awesome.
Yeah, that's where you get the nunchucks.
That's where you get the nunchucks. However, they had that super armor
Oh, yeah,
in the last one. And I assume this is the same kind of super armor. And just bows and arrows can take it out.
They're armor-piercing arrows, so...
There had to be a line like that somewhere. I'm like, why is this armor so ineffective compared to the other one?
Yeah.
Intense fight scene. I love when the girl just stabs the guy over and over again as he's climbing.
Crawling up the stairs.
Our big heavy is that one dude. He's like that big guy throughout the whole film that's hunting John. And we get a new element. We didn't have enough secret things in here, so now there's trackers.
Well, he's not like an official part of the Continental High Table stuff. At least that was my impression.
Okay.
I feel like Tracker is just like, oh, you're one of those tracker guys that just goes after the bounties. But I actually like this guy. Like, I found it so funny, the idea that he's protecting John just so he can watch the bounty go higher and higher.
Yeah.
Until I guess he can afford this like villa he wants to buy for him and his dog.
And he's got a dog too. You're
Yeah.
right. He's got a dog.
I felt like this movie finally perfected the formula for side characters
Yeah.
that have their own stories. Like, yes,
They're
it's
very interesting.
they're very interesting. And yes, it's a bit familiar that the guy's got a daughter that he's protecting, but there were emotional stakes there. Like, I didn't want the daughter to get killed. I really felt the tension between him and John. Like, how are they going to resolve this? Where if John kills him and he fails at his job, then they're going to go after his daughter. Obviously, John doesn't want to die.
Yeah.
And then plus the fact that he's blind, it gets to introduce this whole new element to the fight choreography.
Yeah, which is awesome.
When he was putting on those motion detecting doorbells.
I thought that was
so
cool as hell. That was so cool.
Yeah, I didn't know what they were at first. I was like, is he putting like little mines everywhere? They're just going to blow up or something?
But yeah, he kills Sonata, and then he lets the girl know. He's like, you can come after me at some point. I'm like, well, there's that movie coming down the line.
You do really feel the franchise building. I mean, you see it in every movie, but this one feels like, okay, there's a spinoff.
Yep.
All right, there's a spinoff.
Yep. But yeah, so the rest of the movie is John just having to kill people in relation to the high table. He has to like the family that he belongs to, I guess.
Yeah, the Risco Roma.
Yes.
Yeah, so to challenge the, what do they call him? So you have the adjudicator.
Yeah.
Now you have the guy Skarsgård.
Oh,
his
yeah,
character.
I was gonna say even before him, he has to fight another guy at the nightclub.
Oh, Killa.
Yes.
Yeah.
Who in my initial review I just kept calling the whale. He has to
I remember
fight
that, yeah.
the most athletic fat ass I've ever seen in a movie. It's almost as if it's a thin guy in a suit. They have to kill him because they killed someone in John's like family that he belongs to. And there's like a whole thing there.
Yeah, well, that's so he wants to challenge Skarsgård to a duel.
Yes.
Which is allowed according to the rules of the high table.
I'm going to look up the name of what that is, but keep going.
Yeah, so it's allowed according to the rules of the high table, one way they prevent all-out war when there's a conflict between members of the high table is they let them duel it out. So that's one way that John can challenge him to a duel and set the terms of it. If I kill you... The Marquis, that's right. So he can set the terms of the duel that if I kill the Marquis, you let Winston have the Continental back and you forgive me of everything.
Oh, yeah, but you're right. He has to be a member of the table.
Exactly.
So he has to kill that guy to get the thing.
Right. If he wants his family to sanction the fight and basically say he's going to be a representative at the high table for our family, they're like, okay, we'll do that if you go kill Killa because he killed my dad.
Yes. Which is, it's a fun scene where they're playing the card game. The tracker shows up. Donnie Yen shows up. Leads to a fun fight, but like, it's one of those, I think I made fun of it. Like, man, it takes the crowd a really long time to know that there's like a big fight happening.
Yeah.
Like the whole time they're like just constantly dancing and everything. I almost felt like it was like in RoboCop when the gun falls in the crowd, the guy picks up the gun, just keeps on dancing. Like I wouldn't have been surprised if that happened.
I always just assume, like I haven't spent a lot of time in clubs and stuff, but I assume it's like a drug-fueled, like nobody there's sober in their right mind.
I guess. I mean, there has to be someone who's a designated. There has to be someone who's on not that many drugs.
Yeah, if you're not cool.
I guess so. I guess it's just a club full of cool people.
You would have been the loser who's like, oh my God, there's a big fight happening. That guy has a gun. Like, shut up, Tony. I'm trying to enjoy my drug haze.
More acid, please. Okay.
This is where it gets into some of the very cool fight scenes.
Yes.
I mean, basically, I don't know, we're going to be like broken records if I'm like, this fight scene was really cool.
Yeah.
But it gets into some of the ridiculous, like, he shot my ass. Like, why won't you just die?
Yeah, okay, so this movie, the fight scenes are fun, but they are cartoony at this point, which usually happens with these films. Every time a franchise keeps going, it usually gets more cartoony. But like, it's like, I was laughing in the theater during a lot of this film. I'm just like, come on. When he gets to like Paris and they're in that roundabout, he's like getting hit by the cars and everything. And again, none of the pedestrians, they're like, oh, fight going on.
Chad Stahelski, he quoted Jackie Chan. He said this was a lesson he learned from Jackie Chan about stunts, is that when you're choreographing a fight scene, you might think, you know what, let's move that table out of the way so we can do like a spin kick.
Yeah.
But Jackie Chan was like, no, you don't move the table. The more obstacles, the better.
Yeah.
And I feel like you really took that to heart. What if we have a fight scene where like one wrong step, you get hit by a car right around the arc? That was so cool.
It was cool how they filmed it, how they had like mattresses on it that he rolled on, and then visual effects, they like took it out. That was fun. And also it basically turns into the Warriors at the end.
Right.
Where all the different assassins are going after him, and there's the girl on the radio, like, letting them know. It's like, okay.
It's almost word for word the same lines from the Warriors.
Yeah,
like, it's a
pretty
very
much.
direct reference.
Because, the Marquis is just putting out hits on him. Because, the Marquis agrees to do the challenge, but obviously wants him dead before the challenge.
Yeah.
Uh,
I have a feeling he's not going to make it to the duel tomorrow.
Oh, and they got speaking of Highlander, the Kurgan is in this. Clancy Brown shows up in this. This is the guy with the Marquis. I don't really know what the Marquis is. It seems like he's a bigger deal than the Elder, who's supposed to be above the table.
Well, the Marquis, he's basically the sheriff that they called to town to finally clean this up.
Yeah.
They even give him the badge he wears.
Yeah.
So there's a lot of like Western tropes in this one, I feel like.
He finally destroys the Continental.
That's right.
How do you cover that up in New York? I don't know.
Well, I've seen it before where there was one time, like I went to lunch and then I came back home and a building was just gone. They just erase buildings in New York. I feel like the street noise is so loud.
But they don't like schedule it or let people know. Like they just blow.
I don't know how many times I have to tell you this. The high table, it's been around since before the Roman Empire. They're in control of everything.
Yeah, but you got to come up with like a cover story or something. Like, come on, people are going to look into this.
I will say, as ridiculous as that was, blowing up the Continental, but also killing Lance Reddick's character at the beginning.
Yeah.
I did feel like that brought back some of the emotional stakes that haven't been there in a couple
Well, again,
of movies.
this is Winston's movie, really. John's doing all the action, but this is Winston's mission now, is to get control of the Continental. And
yeah, at one point, John asks him, like, why are you doing all this? And he's like, revenge for killing Sharon.
Winston is pretty great in this film. They killed Lance Reddick's character, and then he died in real life. Shortly after that, or before the movie, actually.
Yeah, I think that's right.
Yeah, which was a bummer.
Yeah, and then he has such a small role in the movie.
Yeah,
an important one.
Yeah, especially since the last movie, he's like part of the action, so it was weird they decided to kill him off right away.
Yeah.
So yeah, it becomes this big Paris thing. So they got the idea for the one fight scene, the one gun battle that was overhead.
Oh yeah,
from a video game. There's a lot of video games like this, but the one that I think because everyone thought it was one video game they were referencing.
The Hong Kong something.
Okay, they thought it was a different one. The director said it was Hong Kong Fury or something. It was Hong Kong something, because I remember Mike from Cinemassacre was streaming it for a bit, so I was familiar with that game. I went into the movie, it turned into that. I'm like, this is like that game.
Yeah. Everyone's like, shh. Mike was playing it.
No, this is like an IMAX theater, and I was near the speaker, so that was loud. These movies are loud.
This is too loud.
If you go to see this in IMAX, don't sit near the speakers. It's just going to be like bang, bang, bang.
If you want it too quiet, you can watch it on Amazon streaming.
Okay, good. But no, I do love this sequence. But at this point, I'm like, all right, this doesn't look like anything from the other movies. This weird overhead imaginary camera.
And he's using like the incendiary round.
Yeah, just shooting fire. It literally is a video. And I know there is like a John Wick video game, like shooter.
Yeah, which I think is also, it's not like a third person. Like
There was supposed to be a VR game.
Really?
I played the demo at PAX years ago. They had like a Lance Reddick there. I don't think it got made, but I think they used that to make the VR game, the PSVR game Blood and Truth, which I have.
Oh, okay.
Which is actually a fun game. If you like John Wick, definitely check that. I might actually play that again.
Nice.
That is a fun, because you have to like load the gun. Yeah. Like it's the closest you can get to like a VR John Wick thing.
There's one that made me feel like John Wick in VR. I forget the name of it, but it's like a rhythm game where you're shooting people to the music. So you're like dodging stuff. And I mean, they do that a lot in John Wick, where there'll be like music going, and especially in Chapter 3, when they're shooting all the guys with the armor on. He's playing that like classical music.
Well, then there's in this one the fucking club and the dancing, even like in the overhead shooting scene. By the way, I like that like it stops and then like it starts up again. The dog eats a guy's balls. That's fun.
Yeah, it's true. Urinates on his head too.
Yes. The stair scene is where I lost it.
Yeah. Which, I mean, that was hilarious.
It was
He falls,
hilarious.
like,
I'm
3
just
times.
I'm like, come on. Like, imagine going from the first John Wick to this one and getting to the stair
It's
scene.
basically Looney Tunes now.
It's really Looney Tunes.
It's like
You're
John Wick
what
runs
the
over the edge and he's like, uh-oh, and then falls.
It's like, what the fuck is going on? It's like Hot Rod where Andy Samberg keeps falling down the hill. It just doesn't stop. You're like, oh my God. But again, like, it's just dumb enough that I can't like hate it. I'm like, I kind of love this.
Well, see, I don't call it stupid because I feel like they're in on it.
Yeah.
Like I'd call it absurd or ridiculous. And I don't think it, like I said earlier, I don't think it's the wrong choice. And I enjoy it. Like I laughed at the stairs.
Yeah.
But part of me does wish we could get the grittiness back, you know?
Yes. But yeah, he makes it with Donnie Yen's help to the Marquis to do the duel.
That's right.
I do like, I love Winston. I keep using this quote where he's like, any advice, Winston? He just goes,
just have fun out there.
So the Marquis is an idiot.
Yeah.
He just forgot that John didn't shoot that one round. He gets fucking killed. So I'm like, oh, I thought that'd be cooler.
Yeah.
So yeah, then it kind of ends with John Wick dying,
Dead.
looking at a very digital sunset. The CGI toward the end of the film got a little rough.
His last word,
Yeah.
Helen, his
Yes.
wife's name.
Yes.
Just wanted to clarify that because I remember my brother was like, it was kind of weird how he says, he goes, heaven, right before he dies.
No, I don't think he said that. And yeah, he dies. They're at his tombstone. They're saying that he's dead.
John Wick, loving husband.
Yes. What's it called? Sharon got a good friend.
Yeah, friend, I think.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah, so he's dead, and the whole time, like, is John Wick 5 gonna start with him, like, off camera and being like, you think this will work? Like, what the fuck?
Yeah, something really, I don't mind an intentionally ambiguous ending.
Yeah.
But this one bugged me because it wasn't exactly intentionally ambiguous because apparently they shot a version where he is unambiguously alive.
Okay.
And test audiences didn't like it, so they took it out.
Okay.
And so I'm like, it's designed by audience participation and voting.
Yeah.
But if you listen to interviews with like Chad Stahelski, he'll say, like, you know, it's up to interpretation. I tend to interpret it in a darker way. So clearly to him, John should be dead.
Yeah.
And they've said that him and Keanu Reeves were looking for what's our way back in for Chapter 4.
Yeah.
And for them, we got to kill him. The studio didn't like that. So they're like, well, hold on. Remember, there's like a duality. There's John Wick the man, and then John Wick, you know, Baba Yaga, the killer. So we can kind of get away by killing the legend without killing the man. So basically he exists in a state of, if they can pull together a John Wick 5, he's alive.
Yeah.
If not,
It didn't really, nothing about the advertising or any, like, it just didn't feel like this was going to be John Wick's last adventure. It didn't feel like that. So that's why the ending took me off guard.
they did do a good job, I thought. So I mentioned earlier, I do think they brought back the emotional stakes a bit with this movie by killing Sharon and by making so many references to, John, where does this end? You can't just keep killing. And eventually they're going to get the better of you.
Yeah.
So they set it up like we're in the end times, like this, you know, pretty early on. So you felt like, I was going to say, you feel like he could die, but the problem is no part of me buys that.
Yeah.
And I'm like, he's not gonna
it just
die.
doesn't
I just
ring
don't
true to
believe
me.
you. Yeah.
I mean, I guess the good news is if John Wick 5 is a huge piece of shit, I could just stop watching at 4 and be like, okay, that was the end.
Yeah,
They
it's
know.
another choose your own adventure franchise.
Yeah.
You know, there's only 2 Terminator movies.
Yeah. Halloween, it ends at this one. Which Halloween 4 is your
Well,
favorite?
that one is actually like a choose your own favorite.
Yeah.
It's like, do you want to go to Halloween 2 from here? Do you want to go to Halloween?
Yeah. But no, it's a good time. Like I said, I own these movies. I watch them a lot, actually. I like just putting them on. Even like when I'm like not too invested in some of the story, it's like, well, it looks pretty. And there's fun.
Well,
shooting.
I feel like my tendency is when you have a movie like John Wick, where it's got such a reputation, like everyone loves John Wick. The first thing I want to go to are the things I didn't like about it.
Yeah.
But I mean, I love all these movies.
Yeah.
And like even 4, when you point out some of the ridiculous stuff in it, like it's such a good time. And the action is really good. It's far above average.
Yeah, it's a really fun franchise that we have right now. Just a cool dude kicking ass. And you know, when they did Matrix 4, I'm like, well, those John
my
Wick
God.
movies are good. I wonder what the action's gonna be like in Matrix 4. Go back and watch that episode.
Yeah,
Spoil-
love seeing Keanu Reeves do this.
Oh yeah, that was right. Imagine watching like all three of these movies and being like, I know what our movie needs.
I think we're not going to be able to top that. Let's go the other way. Let's subvert expectations.
But then it wasn't even like magical, powerful enough. It's just like kind of just pushed a guy with his mind. Cool, whatever. But yeah, now this opens it up to a whole franchise. And the first thing they did was the Peacock series, The Continental from the World of John Wick.